I'm outside in an AMG, right outside, TT, two-turn baby girl, you know me, still with the dogs that I grew beside, all the niggas brown, ride and they die, gotta watch the time cause it's flying right by.
What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Chris, aka The Capital Connect, and in today's video, I'm back, y'all. I know it's been a month and a half, 2 months, and I really wish I had something cool to tell y'all after being gone for so long, but I really don't, man. I just got burnt out, bro. That's just to put it, as simply as I possibly can. I just got burnt out, bro. I was doing a whole lot. I was working 6 days a week in my job. I was doing my Discord stuff. I was doing one-on-ones. So I kind of just had a lot on my plate. And now, as y'all can read from the title, I got fired from my job last week, so now I got all the time in the world. So, but yeah, bro, your boy got fired last week on Monday, actually. So, why did I get fired? Now, I'm not gonna go into too much detail because it really doesn't matter. But I'll just give y'all, a brief synopsis of what happened, because I know if y'all nosy like me, y'all want to know why I got fired. You just don't want to know that I got fired. So long story short, man, I worked at Mercedes. Sometimes I would work in valet, but most of the time I would work up at the wash, because number one, wash, you don't really have people overlooking you all the time, just looking over your shoulder, seeing what you're doing. That's number one. Number two, you don't have to deal with too many customers, right? And number three, you can have your AirPods in. So I liked it for all three of those reasons. So on this particular day, I was up at wash. Now, y'all, the wash was down. The wash wasn't working, okay? We have like a little automatic car wash, so we can get a whole bunch of cars done a day, right? So the wash was down on this particular day. And because it was down, the manager was like, well, y'all need to hand wash every car. Now, bro, we get anywhere between 60 to 70, sometimes even 80 cars a day. You think we about to hand wash 60 to 80 cars for $15 an hour? I don't know who they about to get to do that. But no, sir, I ain't doing that. I ain't hand washing cars. I don't get paid to hand wash. You know what I'm saying? I get paid to, maybe scrub a wheel or so, scrub the grill to get bugs and stuff out, scrub the back or whatever. But I don't get paid to hand wash 80 cars, right? And for $15 an hour, you lucky if you get one car an hour, let alone, 80 cars. So long story short, y'all, we start hand washing all these cars. Now, obviously, since we hand washing all these cars and we drying all these cars, the drying towel that we have that usually doesn't get super wet got super wet that day because we hand washing all these cars. You know what I'm saying? So there was one car that was a waiter. A waiter just means someone's waiting for it. So after we finish washing it, we got to bring it straight down so they can go home or whatever. There was a waiter. And I didn't dry off the waiter because the drying towel was soaking wet, bro. The drying towel was soaking wet. It's just moving the water around. It ain't even drying the car off. It's just moving the water around. So I made the decision, like, bro, I'm just going to go ahead and take this car down. It don't even matter, Certainly, the customer and the manager going to understand that, our drying towel is wet. We can't dry it off or whatever. And, by the way, we don't have access to the washer and dryer, right? That's detail, right? So we would have to wait to wash more towels and dry more towels before we can even, even think about drying some more towels or whatever. So, anyway, I bring the car down. Of course, the service manager is out there already. He walks up. We got to get that dried off. This guy's going to freak out if he sees his car soaking wet like this. And I'm like, well, sir, unfortunately, we didn't dry it off because our drying towels are soaking wet. And it's just moving the water around. This man did not like that answer at all. This man just took the keys from me. He ain't snatched it. I ain't going to say he snatched it. I ain't going to over dramatize it. But, he took the keys and was like, he took it up there and he dried it off himself, I guess. He could have just left it at that, y'all. But instead, he decided, after he finished drying the car off, right, he pulls around up to where the wash is, honks the horn at me, lets the window down, and says, oh, it can be washed, by the way. Now, y'all, I'm saved. But God is still working on me a little bit when it comes to being my petty level, right? Matching people's energy and matching people's petty. And so I felt that was very petty what he did. He could have just drove the car down. He could have put me to the office later like, well, Chris, we need to start doing da-da-da-da-da, whatever. But because he did something petty, right? And at first, I let it go for like 2 seconds. I just ignored him for like 2 seconds. But I looked up and he's still sitting there, bro. He's still sitting there. So I figured he was waiting for something. So I was like, okay. I just clapped at him. Like, what you want, bro? You want a cookie or a trophy, man? I clapped at him. Now, he definitely didn't like that clapping because that man sped off in the customer car, went down, dropped it off, and and 5 minutes later, somebody come up there talking about, hey, yo, bro, so-and-so's looking for you in his office. I'm like, oh, here we go, man. So he pulls me into the office, and he's like, do you think what we did was appropriate? And I was assuming he was talking about not drying the car off. So I was like, well, under the circumstances, I believe, yes, they were appropriate. He was like, what are the circumstances? I went on my little spiel talking about, well, y'all are adding to our job description. We get paid to do X, Y, Z. Yet here y'all are having us hand wash every single car. Now, granted, y'all, if it was just one day where stuff was jacked up like this, then, I would have just been like, whatever, I'll just suck it up. But y'all got to keep in mind the past couple months, more and more stuff is being added to our job description without more and more being added to my paycheck. And so I just kind of had enough of it. And I was like, I feel like y'all just been adding a lot to our, workload and not adding to our check. And this man immediately got defensive, bro. Start yelling, start cussing. And let me tell y'all one thing about me, bro. When you start yelling, when you start cussing, I don't care if it's friendships, romantic relationships, family. Like when you start yelling, when you start cussing, I'm tuning you out, bro. And I ain't even trying to listen to what you got to say anymore. Cause like, I just find that to be super disrespectful. Like I ain't yelling and cussing at you. Don't yell and cuss at me. So I just tuned him out. And, I guess I wasn't giving him the response he wanted to hear or see because, I'm not just going to capitulate to you because you're yelling and cussing. Like you can do all of that and I'm still going to believe what I want to believe, right? Like, and I'm going to tell you what I feel like needs to be said, right? Because, you had us out here in 90 plus degree weather, hand washing all these cars. We got a line of cars waiting. And then here's another thing too, y'all. Not only do we have a big old line of cars, right? He then complaining that we got a line of cars. I'm like, bro, how you gonna complain that we got a line of cars when you got us hand washing every single car? He's talking about move the cars. I'm like, moving where, bro? Moving where? Like, that's just a sidebar. But anyway, he didn't like that. I guess I wasn't, apologizing or cowering in a corner or looking scared or whatever. And so he was like, well, since you don't care, you're fired. And I was like, okay. Because y'all, I don't want to work for somebody that puts their people in a bad situation, right? I don't want to work for a company that puts their people in a bad situation, right? Now, granted, I wasn't working for Mercedes directly. I was working for another company that is partnered with Mercedes. But, this man, in my opinion, was not a good manager because he would put what he wants over what his people are telling him is possible, right? Like sometimes, like I've managed people before, and sometimes what you want as a manager just isn't feasible, right? Or it's not realistic, right? So that is when you collaborate with your people and be like, okay, well, how can we get this done, right? And telling us to hand wash 60 to 80 cars and then get mad that we got a line of cars, right? That's not realistic and that's not feasible. And so I was not going to apologize for speaking on that. I was not going to apologize for, not drying the vehicle off when I explained to him that the reason why we're not drying it off is, like I said, the drying towel is super dirty. I mean, it's super wet. It ain't gonna get dried. It's just moving the water around, and it will take at least an hour for us to wash and dry new drying towels. So Like it just wasn't feasible. So I wasn't going to apologize for that. You know, I would apologize that he felt some type of way about it, but I mean, it is what it is. So I got fired, and you know, I'm not too worried about it. Well, I'm not worried about it at all, actually. At the end of the day, y'all, a job is not my provider, nor is any man my provider, nor am I myself my provider. God is my provider, right? God is Jehovah Jireh, right? So the job is not my provider. The job is just what God was using at this moment in time in my life to provide for me, right? And even when I'm working for myself, when I become a billionaire trader and I, you know, and quote unquote self-employed, right? I'm still not my provider. God is my provider, you know what I'm saying? Because at the very least, if he ain't do nothing else, he woke me up. And last I checked, in order to be on these charts and make money, you got to be alive. So at the very least, he is providing for me still, even in that way. But we already know that God does way more than just wake you up. But I'm not worried about it, man. So right now, your boy's unemployed. I'm a full-time trader right now. And yeah, man, we just gonna see what this new season has in store. Obviously, I'm applying for new jobs. But we already know that your boy is trying to become, he's not trying. Your boy is working on becoming a full-time day trader. So y'all ain't gotta worry about me disappearing again for a month, 2 months, or whatever. At least not without letting y'all know. I plan on being here, you know, every single week like I was before, new video. And yeah, man, to kind of make it up to you guys, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna open up the free access portion of the Discord again. Right now, those of you guys who are premium members, you ain't gotta worry about this because y'all already got access to the premium side. But I'm gonna open up the free side again for anybody. So I'm gonna put that link in the description. I'm gonna put it in the pinned comment, and y'all can just join the Discord that way. But yeah, man, it feels good to be back on YouTube. That's all I got for today's video. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one. I'm gone.